Having adopted the smartwatch life for the past year, I quickly realized it was the smart features such as notifications and quick replies that I found the most useful. Although I used last year's Galaxy Watch at the gym all the time, the fitness tracking aspect never really grew on me. When Samsung announced the Galaxy Watch Active, I was curious to see if this new wearable, aimed towards those with active lifestyles, would change my mind. Let's talk about my experience. Putting the Active on for the first time, you immediately feel how much lighter it is. Coming from a Galaxy Watch, I would be lying if I said I didn't miss the rotating bezel. Besides being awesome for navigating, it provided a layer of protection for the screen when bumping into things. With that being said, I think those with smaller wrists will appreciate the form factor for its comfort. I forget I'm even wearing it at times throughout the day. The slick, understated appearance actually does a better job at blending in and looking the part when I'm at the gym. Being slimmer with rounded corners helps the Active not dig into the back of my hands as much while doing exercises like push-ups or mountain climbers. The bezel around the display is kinda big and is probably my least favorite thing about the design. A black watch face does do a decent job of masking the bezel though. Plus, it'll save you some battery. The 1.1-inch display itself is bright and colorful and is actually only 0.1mm smaller than the Galaxy Watch. There is no speaker, so that means you cannot take calls on the watch itself. It does have a mic for speech to text and activating Bixby. The Galaxy Watch Active only comes in Bluetooth, no LTE version. No big deal, as LTE would absolutely devour the battery. With 4GB of built-in storage, you can load up some of your favorite tracks or podcasts to enjoy when you don't want to bring your phone along. It only comes in this one size, so if you're hoping for a larger version of the Active, there isn't one. Samsung states up to 45 hours battery life, which is just under 2 days. Although I'm sure this is possible with very conservative settings, leaving everything on, the battery has typically lasted me 1.5 days. If you do any music streaming or workout tracking, which I do at the gym daily, it's a single-day battery. It does take around 2 hours to fully charge the watch from an almost dead battery, so plan accordingly if you're looking to use the sleep tracking feature. If not, you can just charge it overnight. With Active in its name, what does it offer in terms of fitness tracking? With its auto workout detection, the watch can automatically detect 6 activities that will sync to Samsung Health without you lifting a finger. The pedometer or step counter is a little slow to wake up, but once it does, it's flawless. It'll take about 10 steps before it kicks in and tacks on those missing steps. Samsung likely did this to prevent false tracking with everyday hand movements. I tried swinging my arm back and forth while standing still, and yep, it logged a bunch of steps. The heart rate monitor is definitely improved over the Galaxy Watch, and I have a feeling it has to do with how much larger the surface area of the sensor is. It almost felt like one single bead of sweat on the older Galaxy Watch sensor would totally throw off the sensor. Not the case with the Active. It still isn't perfect though. During more intense dynamic exercises, the heart rate monitor will still flatline, likely due to a buildup of sweat and the watch moving around a lot. On the treadmill, elliptical, or Stairmaster, the heart rate monitor has been perfect with close to 0 drops. The Active can detect and log reps for weightlifting exercises. It does work, but I found it to be inconsistent. For exercises where the watch can't track the movement, it will just start a timer and estimate how many calories you're burning. If you lift weights and were looking for a way to track and log your custom workouts on the watch, I highly recommend an app called GYMRUN Standalone. It is paid, but totally worth it, as it's so convenient having your exercises, sets, reps, and rest time all on your wrist while training. I would love to see Samsung include this as a default feature on the watch. Although I'm not an avid outdoor runner, for those of you who are, the watch has built-in GPS to map and keep tracks of your stats. Location lock-on is fairly quick, and to get the most accurate tracking, I highly suggest turning on high accuracy under location settings. If you're looking to use the watch to track stairs climbed, it can do that just fine as long as the stairs you're climbing are more than 17 steps or 10 feet. It registers every single step climbed at my gym, but when I go up the stairs from my basement, which is only 12 steps, it doesn't. Wearing the watch to bed for the past couple of weeks has actually been a really good experience thanks to how light the Active is. The watch will track 4 stages of your sleep and is similar to the results I was getting on the Galaxy Watch. On several nights, it logged that I was awake in the middle of the night. It's possibly a glitch, or maybe I was tossing and turning a lot. It even tracks naps, but on some occasions logged sleep when I was just laying on the couch watching TV. All this information that the watch collects gets synced to Samsung Health, which serves as a hub for your health data. Talking to others, you either love it or hate it. It does the job for me, though I like data for individual workout sessions to be easier to get to. I did test out the blood pressure monitor. It requires a third-party app called My BP Lab, as well as signing up for a study. You need to obtain a baseline measurement from a real blood pressure cuff to get actual readings from the watch. Once everything is set up, the watch did manage to get readings that were very close to an actual cuff, so that's impressive. Keep in mind, you don't even need the watch, as the heart rate monitor on recent Samsung phones will work too. The watch did fail to get a reading multiple times, so looks like it needs some refining. The software is clearly designed for the rotating bezel, so when you remove that hardware feature, navigating through everything was a little more tedious. The sheer number of widgets that you can enable combined with each notification being its own page means a lot of swipes. I did get used to swipes for navigating very quickly, so it's perfectly fine. I was pleasantly surprised to see One UI make its way onto the Galaxy Watch Active. It's more of an aesthetic change more than anything, but I like how things look. It's refined and matches well with what Samsung is doing on their smartphones. However, the wake-up gesture sometimes doesn't want to work, forcing me to actually tap the screen or flick my wrist to wake it up. One strength of Samsung's watch lineup is the massive amount of customizable watch faces. It's a great way to make the watch your own. There are plenty to choose from, and I mean that. From paid to free, there's something for every mood or situation. The biggest knock on Samsung's watch software is the lack of third-party apps. I'll need to check out a Google Wear OS watch to see what all the app craze is about. But Samsung does do a good job of giving you the basic apps you'll likely use on the watch. Google Maps was something I did want, but I'd been using something called Navigation Pro that gets the job done. In terms of music streaming, Spotify and Tidal both have dedicated watch apps with the ability to download music for offline listening. Despite being labeled active, the Galaxy Watch Active actually does the smart features well. Notifications show up in a timely manner on both my Pixel 3 and S10 Plus. I can reply using speech-to-text, T9 keyboard with emojis, or the handwriting keyboard, which you have to enable in settings for some odd reason. Using it with the S10 Plus enables you to view a message and call history for Samsung-based apps like messaging, email, and phone, as they have dedicated apps on the watch. Watch apps like voice memo and reminders will also sync seamlessly to the S10 Plus, whereas with the Pixel 3, it's isolated to the watch. If you're using a non-Samsung phone, I still think it's a good fit since receiving notifications and quick replies will likely be the primary use anyways. Plus, you still get access to the Galaxy App Store. Like I mentioned earlier, since there's no speaker on the watch itself, when you receive a call, you can accept the call from the watch, but it'll prompt you to take the call on your phone. I tried pairing the Galaxy Buds to the watch to see if that could be a workaround, but it still wouldn't let me take the call on the watch itself. I had to pick up the phone to have a conversation. The Galaxy Watch Active is not meant to be an upgrade from the Galaxy Watch, but a cheaper option for active-minded individuals looking for a slimmed-down design. I personally prefer the 42mm Galaxy Watch for the ability to take calls directly on the watch and the rotating bezel for navigation, but could easily live with the Active, especially with its cheaper price. It does the smartwatch features well, and for most, the fitness features, although far from perfect, may just be the push needed for a healthier lifestyle.
No, don't give up.